Jesus, welcome. Thank you for spending some time with me today. I'm looking forward to hear your story about Ortega Family Wines and hear about your trajectory to becoming a winemaker. So please tell me the story.
Muchas gracias. Saludos. No, I'm, being from the Napa Valley, born and raised, it's one of those things where I never thought it was going to happen, So I'm the youngest out of 7 in my family. But just to tell you a little about my family story, my father and my 2 uncles came through the Braceros program in 1947. And they landed in Oregon and in Washington State, for the Ocho de las Peras and the Manzanas. And did that for about 5 to 6 years. And they landed in Yountville, California, Napa Valley in 1955, 56, and started working in the vineyards and started working for a company in the valley. And so my father, being here every year for harvest, for the work for 6 to 8 months, going back to Mexico, seeing my family and my mother at the time. He just came out here to work, went back, and I think he had a passion for the work in the industry. So, and they actually went outside to work for another vineyard, and the owner wanted him to stay year round. He wanted to stay there, and back in the day, I have permiso. I don't have a green card or anything, through the program. And they're just like, well, I'll help you out. Let's make this happen. So, gracias a Dios, everything happened. And they got the green card for my mother, my father, and my siblings at the time, and in Napa. So, did that and we landed in Yountville, California, and just started working for that. He worked for that vineyard management company. My mother, my father, and my 2 uncles.
Wow.
And in 2006, a little tragic incident happened to my father. He had to retire, and he passed away 11 years ago, 2010. And that kind of had me, at the time, I wasn't working in the industry at all. I just didn't know really what I wanted to do, but I want to continue his legacy. So in 2012, I had an opportunity to make wine and try to see how I could do it, make it happen. And so my first vintage was 2014. So of Oakville Cabernet, where the vineyard that we grew up on in Oakville and Yountville. So our family pruned those vines for over 47 years. My father and that company, they had multiple vineyards in around that area, but we were blessed to be a part of that vineyard, and I am blessed to purchase fruit from that vineyard. When I was a teenager, going to high school, in December I was happy, but yet frustrated because all my friends were going to be hanging out for that Christmas break, right? Going to the snow or playing around, doing things. I had to go to the vineyard. I had to put the ramas into the medio de surco, so the realtor in the mower room, chop them up. But I would say that I should have paid more attention then, because I didn't know what was going to happen for the future. But I had an opportunity to learn a lot being there, and I'm more of a hands-on learner myself. So just being there and communicating with my mother and my father more about what were they doing, why were they doing it. Now I kind of kick myself, in the rear, because what I'm doing now is, I would have bugged them so much with asking questions. Why are you doing this? Why are you cutting this? Why are you suckering it like this? Why are you fruit thinning like this? So, but having my mother still around with us, I ask her questions time in. She's asking me, what are you doing today? How was work? What are you guys doing? You guys harvesting yet? So she's really involved with what I'm doing now. Is this a family label? So my brothers and sisters are heavily involved as well my mother, but it's mostly me though, because they didn't want to do it. But for some reason, me being the junior and named after my father, I want to continue his legacy, because I want to showcase our family story and showcase that we could do it también, and we're here to do it.
So how many years do you currently have with this label?
So this label, I just released it this year, actually. So I actually was developing through the pandemic last year. Very, very hard, of course. But it's, I feel that hard work pays off, and now it's showing for it now. So the wine label and the wines were current lineup, which you have there in front of you, were currently released January 1st, 2021. And for a reason why I did that is because my father's birthday was January 1st. So I wanted to do it on January 1st because of his story, of our family story. So we just, Ortega Family Wines were currently released this year, but I had previous labels before this label too. But this is my focus now, and to showcase our brand now.
Got it. Awesome. Well, I love that you're living up to your dad's expectations in essence, right? You're continuing his legacy of all his hard work and what actually positioned you in Napa. Him coming over. I've heard several stories of different Latinos that have come through the Bracero program. That was such an excellent program, right? They would come work, go back, come work and go back. Your dad was very fortunate and blessed with someone to sponsor him, right? And and through all that hard work, we're now sitting here about to degustar unos vinos, la memoria de él, no? That is awesome, man. So what are we starting off on?
We're gonna do our 2020 Pinot Blanc from Carneros. Pinot Blanc is they call it a blending varietal. It is a varietal between Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc. I could have made a Chardonnay, I could have made a Sauvignon Blanc, but I wanted to be a little different, So this is 100% staying still aged fermented, very approachable. Acidity is very mild, and with the fruit here, we get some lemongrass, and I get a little white peach también.
The lemongrass is prevalent. The peach, and you said a little bit of green apple, right?
Well, the green apple también, but right now, since mine's getting a little warmer, different aromas start opening up. But the green apple is definitely there too. A lot when it's really, really chill. The green apple does distinct the aroma of green apple. But once it aerates and opens up a little, gets a little warmer, different aromas come out. So that's why mine, I got the peach. Not too sure on what currently your temperature is at.
So I got a nice little lemon zest that citrusy. That's awesome. I love that. Beautiful aromatics as well.
Thank you. And I really wanted to be an approachable wine. I wanted to be for beginners, for people that enjoy wines, and people that are experts. But my wines here it's really food friendly. All my wines you're able to enjoy with meals and with family and friends, of course. But since being Latinos, we love our food también. So
right.
With the little nopales right here, the little pico de gallo, it's perfect. Camarones, pescado, whatever.
Very, very good. This is amazing. And what is the price point on this?
The price point here is $20 a bottle. I wanted to be approachable, and it's screw cap, so it's definitely an approachable wine, but yet an outdoor wine, picnic, family gatherings. So that's where I wanted to do, because a lot of times you're always running around trying to figure out a corkscrew. I need a wine key, I need a corkscrew to cork it. So Pinot Blanc is my entry-level wine to where people can enjoy it with family, friends, or even by yourself, or a Tuesday and Wednesday night, There you go. I think nicely and chilled. It's, it opens up even more, right? So yeah, currently mine's a little bit chill. It's not at this optimal temperature yet, but what I picked up is beautiful bouquet of the aromatics, all this very citrusy. It sits very well in your palate. The acidity doesn't overwhelm your palate either. So very, very good. I really enjoy it. Gracias. So we're going to move on to the first time ever making a rosé. This is our 2019 rosé of Cabernet.
Okay.
So this is from the Oakville Vineyard, where I grew up, and I wanted to experiment it. I want to see how it would work.
And I heard something about your rosé. It's one of your top selling, and it's hard to keep it on the shelf, right?
Yes, we actually, I held back about 4 cases. I sold out I sold until May of this year. So I held back those 5 cases because I knew I didn't know how it was going to function properly. So what I did is I reserved 5 cases, and I actually have very limited right now. So it's a hot item right now, especially being summer.
Yes. But I think obviously with our weather changes throughout California, I think these 2 wines are all year round nowadays, man. I mean, at the end of the day, right, your Pinot Blanc and your Rosé are going to be, I think we're getting like this endless summer, it's happening in California, right? But I do want the rain to come eventually. I mean, in Temecula, we've been experimenting a lot of humidity, and normally this is dry heat here. We don't get that. So yeah, I just wanted the rain, man, like for a week.
Me too.
Tell me about your 2019 Oakville Rosé of Cab.
So it's for me, everyone has their own palate, their own sense of smell también. But for me, lots of strawberries. I get rose petals también too.
Okay.
So lots in that.
So I pick up the rose petals. I do get that.
Yeah.
I think that's actually more, that's like the first thing that I'm getting out of the aromatics is that, it's the rose petals, which is kind of different because normally, you get more of the citrus, you get berries, you get, the other, and this is totally the opposite.
Yeah, no, it's a wine to where, I mean, even with the color, nice salmon color, very transparent. Yes. And, I think the fruits can determine on the color overall, right? So I think the darker the wine would be a darker, more of a fruitier wine, right? Because of the color itself. I sautéed. So basically, we destemmed. I let it sit for about 2.5 hours, and I drained. I drained the juice out of the tank. And I only did 1 barrel, so we did 60 gallons of this. Once again, it was very, wanted to experiment on the rosé, and sometimes that last minute thought, like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. Let's just make it happen. So I did it in 2019, and I kicked myself in the rear again for not making more because how quickly it's going off the shelves.
Wow. So let's see what we get out of it, right? So
yes.
So this is not a sweet rosé,
right? It's very approachable. Acidity, I would say, it's a medium acidity level. Once again, we actually had it with enchiladas about a week ago, and with that sauce and then with this wine, everyone was really impressed. They're like, why would you want to have a rosé with enchiladas? I said, you never know what wine does to the food. A lot of people feel like when you have red meats, you got to have a red wine. Merlot, Zinfandel, Petit Syrah, Cab, all those big, bold wines. Sometimes the lighter ones, the acidity breaks down the proteins on the meat, and it just the flavors of what you get on your palate. It's incredible, and I love to cook now too. And as you can tell,
I got it too. It's all here. It keeps the wrinkle. It keeps the wrinkle. Yeah, it keeps the wrinkles away, man. I'm good.
SOC. But like I said, when I first started making wine, I remember the Oakville Cab when it was fermenting. It reminded me of my dad's tacos when we were working in the vineyard for lunch. My mom and my dad would make tacos the night before con harina with frijoles y queso, and the next day, my dad would do a fire out in the vineyard with a leña of the dead vine. And I remember that smell when it was fermenting. It just was a childhood, like a memory of what I grew up on. And that's why from there on, I'm like, my wines, I want it to be approachable and food friendly on any wines that I make.
So tell me, so you brought up a good point of how to really introduce great wines to Latino food, right? And as Latinos, nosotros siendo mexicanos, pues nos encantan las enchiladas, las carne asada, we love this, el mole, el pollo con salsa verde, lo que gustes, ¿no? So what did you make those enchiladas with? What, it was a red sauce, green sauce? What was it?
It was salsa de rojo y de pollo. So,
enchiladas de pollo con salsa roja.
Y con papas, y también we had a little ensalada de pepino también. So on the side, con arroz y frijoles de la olla. So we do it big on a Tuesday night. We do it big, también.
Well, that's really good. I'm gonna think about doing that this week because I want to really try that. But I've never really had a rosé with enchiladas, right? And I normally would have. I really have usually like I'll have something spicy, some calamari, some scallops or something with that you're just a lot of small bites. But I've never really had a rosé for a full dinner. So, and especially for a Latino type dinner, right? So, definitely gonna try that out, man.
Yeah, for sure. So, we're gonna go ahead and move on next to the Ortega Cabernet from Oakville.
Okay.
So, this is a non-vintage. I actually blended 2 vintages because you can't, technically have a wine with 2 vintage years, right? So non-vintage Cabernet. It's 100% New French oak aging, and this vineyard is the one that grew up on. So this is the vineyard.
Is there a reason why you didn't do a blend to start off, just to get your feet wet, or that you were just going to be committed and say, hey, I'm going to do this like that?
So when I got educated on wine and the wine industry, I won't mention any names, but when he sees this interview, he'll know exactly who he is that helped me out in the industry. So I think from the bottom of my heart to where I am now, I do thank him for that. But I wanted to do, I was educated on 100%. I like my blends, 25 this, 25 that, blah, blah, blah. I like that. But when you have quality fruit and you do 100%, that's the fruit right there. That's, the winemaking, you're just kind of framing it. You're framing it. That's all you're really doing. The fruit that's his own thing. So this right here, and every bottle I open up, it just brings me back to the harvest. We're doing tastings, barrel tasting on it with my staff. This was the blend that we choose. I mean, it was chosen. It was just the one that was really elegant. It showed its true flavors and with the fruit quality of it overall. So being from Oakville, it was the number one from the tasting that we did. So we did 100% New French oak on the aging. We did it for 28 months, and then it's been aging in glass ever since then.
Well, it's just the aromatics on this. It just put a smile on my face just taking it all in like that. I'm looking forward to taste it next, but you just had me at that. Beautiful colors on your tannins, man. Like I said, you smell that quality, but obviously this is very special because of the aging. You already got a couple of years of aging on this. You got 15 and 16 on it, and that's what I was looking in your bottle. I'm like, where is it? How many years is it, and so forth. That you didn't label that in there.
No, I didn't.
Because I was like, wow, this smells like it's been a big, heavy cab, like we're used to from Napa. Like you want a big, heavy, bold cab, beautiful tannins. And the aromatic, as soon as you just pop that cork without even decanting it.
Right.
I normally use I forgot my V-Spin, which is just, in 5 minutes, it opens up like 2 or 3 hours of decanting, right? Yep. So it just opens up immediately. But this alone, just with the Corbin, it's pretty spectacular aromatics, man.
Yeah. Once again, every vintage year, you will get some similarities on the aromas of the fruit itself, but it's always a growing season. As a farmer myself, farmer first, winemaker second, hashtag. That's what endearing. That's what I know. I could go out there and look at a vineyard and tell you not exactly what's going on, but I will give you the ballpark of exactly how the fruit will be. Go out there and give people help and do what I do. But with the aromatics here, I get like like dark raspberry for sure.
Yes.
And I think after you said that, I think you smoked that right away. You knew that right away, right? So you get a little overripe plum. También.
Okay.
I get some plum in here too. And a slight hint of cola.
Wow.
¿Qué piensas?
Increíble.
Gracias.
Muy, muy rico. Pero, I mean, really, wow, it's switching around my palate. It was just, wow, it's such a good experience.
Thank you.
So congratulations on this one. I mean, beautiful legs also. Obviously no alcohol notes whatsoever. Very fruit forward. The acidity on this also very, very little. The blackberries, and you pick that up in the cola. You do have a hint of that, right? And I was like, when it sat on my palate, I was like, there it goes. What's that little hint?
So that's the terroir. That's the soil there in Oakville. So it's amazing to where it's every vintage year we get that in every barrel that I have. I get that little hint of cola. My first vintage was 2014 vintage. It was almost 50% of the aroma.
Oh wow!
That. It was really unique year. Of course, the yield was really down that year, but you had good quality fruit. 15, it went up about 20% or so on the yield. So you kind of got a little more fruit to get more gallons of it, right? And then 2016, a double production. So 2016 was a better year overall. So, but I would say 14 and 16 were really good years for the Cabernet from that year.
I forgot what year. I don't know if it was 14 or 15. It was like one of the drought years up north too, right? So.
Exactly. So it was those 3 years actually, but
of drought. Right?
We had a little rain that helped out a little bit, so that's why it was progressing forward to where 15 was getting better, and then 16 got better from 15. So and then 17, unfortunately, was the fires, right? So
right. So one of my favorite vintages and varietals is Zinfandel. And I loved it when I opened up the box and I'm like, there's a Zin. Let's see how this works, right? The other Zin that I just tasted yesterday, again, Latino-owned winery as well. And I tried this, and it took me back to a winery that produces that up in Sebastopol.
Yeah.
And very prestigious. And I'm going, man, you got same profile, everything on this, and it's coming from Lodi. You're like, how did you accomplish this, right? And he was just like, this is what we did, and so forth. And I was blown away. So tell me about your Zin now.
So 2018 Zinfandel from Atlas Peak. This is very endearing to my heart actually, because it's actually my first Zinfandel that I ever made.
Okay.
Growing Zinfandel, I know it's very delicate. And it's kind of like a Pinot Noir, it's very delicate, skins on it, the tannins are there, but yet if you let it go, like if you don't just manage it properly, it can go south really quick. So this is from Atlas Peak. I actually barrel fermented this Zinfandel, so I wanted it to be different. So I actually fermented it in a neutral French oak barrel. And once it was done fermenting at the fermentation, I drained it into a barrel down to a new French oak. So to where the quality where it's at now, I would say it's not 100% oak overall. I would say just because 80%, just because that neutral oak did give it some extraction on the fermentation. But this Zinfandel, that plum, that underripe plum is not a ripe plum, it's an underripe plum. So you get that acidity.
That's what I was picking. I'm like, it's not cherries, they're not blackberries. This is plum. It's amazing. The flavor, the aromatic profile that you get. I mean, all your wines don't taste the same. They're very independent from the taste profile, and they're great. This one I couldn't get at the beginning. I was like, what am I picking up? And it's like, let's see it, but it was still fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's you got plum, and once it opens up, you get some oxygen in it overall. Mm-hmm. You get some boysenberry actually in there, very jammy.
Okay.
On the Zin. So, being educated and being a vineyard manager, I learned a lot through the years, and there's a lot of indicators in the vineyard overall, and so I look at that. I analyze those leaf turning colors, what the wine's doing. Is it drooping? Does it need water? What's going on? Is it you gotta stay on top of on those vines. So with my numbers for harvest, the bricks with the sugar level content. So my alcohol, my Pinot Blanc is 13.2, right? I harvested it at 22 bricks, the sugar level on that, right? Mm-hmm. The rosé, I didn't really have too much, but once again, it's at 12.2, so very light, low alcohol. But when you go to my Bordeaux, to my reds, I like to shoot, it has to be a minimum of 24 bricks, just because of the style on the production side of it, what I want to do, how it's going to counteract with what I'm doing with it. So I like to let it hang, let it ripen. I go out to the vineyard, I'll walk it, I'll test the berry. And I like to kind of quiz myself to see what sugar level I could get by tasting the berry. And 99% of the time, I'm about a brick or two off of where we bring it to the winery and check the bricks with our lab. So I like to say I got my own, refractometer that I could. I don't have to purchase one. I already have one.
Yeah, you're off 1 or 2 points. Not a big deal, right? Not
exactly.
A big deal. No, and I, you do taste the minerality, the terroir, the soil there, which is good. It's just part of that whole Zen experience, right? Do you have anything else that you're going to be releasing for 2021 or the upcoming year?
So, yes, we do. We have a good line coming up for our future releases. So a way to get our wines is through our website, www.ortegafamilywines.com. And we also have a great database on to where a wine club, So we, for a wine club, we actually do a 2 shipment per year. We do a spring shipment and a fall shipment. So just being brand new label, the current for the spring shipment was the Pinot Blanc, Rosé, Zen, and Cabernet. The fall shipment upcoming is going to be our 2018 Atlas Peak Cabernet, our 2018 Oakville Cabernet, our 2018 Malbec Oak Knoll, and then for our wine club members, I'm releasing our 2016 Malbec Syrah Blend 50/50. You won't be able to get that wine if you're not a wine club member. So I make every vintage year. I try to make a special blend for my wine club members. To thank them for the apoyo, and because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be doing what I enjoy doing. So 2016, it will be the first wine club blend, 50/50 Malbec Syrah blend, and those are the ones that will be released this fall. 2022, we're releasing our 2018 Reserve Oakville Cabernet, and that's going to be a tribute to my father.
Awesome.
And I can't wait for that. We had a family dinner with some really close family friends this last weekend, and I blinded them with that wine. And it almost brought tears to my eyes how incredible that wine was. It's doing amazing right now, aging in the glass. And I'm excited for that wine. I'm excited for all my wines, but for the one for my father, I'm very excited because that's why I do what I do, for that reason.
Well, I think you're definitely living up to his expectations, and also your family for living up to a great legacy, right? I mean, you have a beautiful lineup. You got amazing wines. You're picking from the best locations and vineyards to make your wine. So it really takes a lot of your passion for the love of this craft for you to produce these outstanding wines, right?
Yes.
At the end of the day, that's what it is. What words of inspiration can you give aspiring Latino wine enthusiasts to get into this type of business?
I mean, if that's a dream and a passion of yours, there's a lot of people that you can, I know for one, if someone comes up to me and say, can you just teach me this one thing about the vineyard or one thing of this wine production? If someone come in and ask me that, I would do whatever it takes. Even when I'm really busy, I will take the time to educate them, because you know what? That's what happened to me. They took the time to educate me during the busiest time of the year, and not as so busy time of the year. So, but if it's a passion of yours and if it's something to where it's a dream of yours, hay gente aquí que podemos ayudar a ellos. And that's one thing where I feel that I want to give back to our community and to our culture también. If people want to come up to me and ask me, give me an email, do whatever it takes to find me, ask me a question, I will do whatever it takes to help them out.
So I think you live up to your name of your company, right? It's Latino Ventures Unidos Wine LLC. So you're already creating that. If you're a united front, you can accomplish anything, right? And I think as Latinos in this space, the more collaboration we do with one another is how you could be successful, right?
I just want to put our culture, our family story onto that bottle. Anything you need, aquí estamos.
No, but muchas gracias, Jesus. Again, thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your family story and being part of this Latino Heritage Month, and how we could see that our own people that are being successful in this industry, like yourself. So appreciate your time, and thank you again for sending me this amazing lineup. I look forward to working with you in the future.
Likewise, I'm very humbled for giving me an opportunity for this. And si se puede, aquí estamos.
Ahí estamos, sí se puede. Muchas gracias, Jesús.
Thank you.